Welcome to Tigs Bits. I'm Tigs, and joining me, as always, is JR the Handler and Chad Blossy, the one-man posse. And today, we're counting down the top 10 action movies of the 80s and 90s. These films are legendary, featuring larger-than-life stars, jaw-dropping stunts, soundtracks that defined a generation. Gentlemen, it's good to see you. This is going to be fun. I think this is going to be an excellent list.
No, it's going to be great, dude. This is going to be fun. I can't wait. I haven't seen this list yet that you're going to propose to us, so it'll be interesting to see if it aligns with my memory of that time span of what exactly, some of those big movies, and we know some of the real big ones there. But this is going to be a ton of fun right here.
Well, that's kind of. That's the fun of this, isn't it, JR, is that I like y'all to come in a little bit cold. I've looked at a list long enough to see I have a list, but I'm not really looking at it until I come to it either. I did glance at it, and I already do disagree. I'm just going to say that. I will say that there's already some disagreements in my mind, but it's another generated list from ChatGPT taking over everything that it believes is the most popular movies of the 80s and 90s that are in an action genre.
Yeah.
It asked me, do we want to specify this from like a Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark to a Terminator 2, or how did we want to do it? And I said, well, I want it all encompassing. I want everything in there. Just let's go with box office hits, cult classics, throw those things in there, and so it generated us a list.
And that's the difference. There's going to be most popular, and then there's going to be best, or the ones that stood the test of time. The box office hit. Then think about how many times you look through Netflix or one of those deals, and you're scrolling through, and it shows you Academy Award winning movies, and you scroll through them, and you're like, I've never seen any of these. Or you try one, and you're like, no wonder. But it was huge popularity and critically acclaimed and all that, and then some that bombed when they came out end up being the ones that lived the test of time. I saw a thing the other day, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That guy made that for like $40,000 because no one wanted to do it, and you know what I mean. Nobody liked it. It's still getting played today. So anyway, and I am so excited about this topic today because, boys, if there's one thing I did growing up, it was watch some action movies. And I'm from a kid that grew up. I was born in 1979. So this is right in my wheelhouse. I was of that generation where both parents worked. Their VCR came into existence. Get anything to keep you occupied. You go home, you get off the school bus, you walk home, you do lots of movies, lots of times. Parents partying with their friends, going to other friends' houses, movies. So I'm pumped about this topic, and I'm going to try to jog my memory. It's been a long time since it was the 80s, but there were a lot of movies that I know we're not going to make this list, but if I drop the name, there's going to be lots of people who are going to be like, oh yeah, that was a good movie. So I'm looking forward to this, boys.
And this is 100% what I was counting on with JR, because he's the wild card in this deal. He's going to remember stuff that I don't remember, and I guarantee you that is not on this list. I kept digging it for alternates. Give me more.
Yeah.
Give me another alternate. Give me 10 more. Give me 10 more. Give me 10 more. And it just kept going when I knew every single movie. Like, we know every movie that we're going to talk about. So to narrow it down to 10, pretty impossible.
Yeah, and next week we'll do foreign language action films to really get deep. I remember that when you watched everything at your local bait and tackle little section they have of VCR movies, you will watch some extreme stuff.
Oh yeah,
so ninja movies that you don't understand. I know a bunch of those too. Yes, for sure. Sorry about the lighting, boys, and everybody out there in Tigs Bits world. I'm actually coming from Houma, Louisiana. I'm in the same state as Brantley this week. I am at my house here, and I don't have my lighting situation how I do at home, so apologize for that, but I hope everybody can hear. And hearing is most important because there's nothing to look at here anyway. So y'all can hear me really good.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, look, before we kind of start to jump into everything, don't forget to follow us, and you can follow everything at tigsbits.com. You can see exclusive content, grab some merch. Everything is up there. We've got a lot of stuff that has been coming out, that has come out, and stuff that is coming out. So go and check all of that out. And look, if you have a favorite action movie that we do not cover in this episode, call us at 225 800 3058. That's 225 800 3058. Let us know. We might even feature you on a future episode. So,
yes, please do, because I know I'm going to miss some, and there's going to be somebody who'll jog my memory on some gems. So please do, everybody.
They call the 80s and 90s action movie the golden age of action movies.
Yeah.
Which, if you ever heard when we were young, the golden age of anything, I mean, how dang old did that make you feel?
Right.
The
golden age of Hollywood, 1950s.
Yeah, you're picturing all black and white.
That's right. That's right. So, this is now the equivalent of that, and it makes sense. I mean, think about it. When we were born, you're born in 79, JR. I'm born in 78. So I'm a year older than you. Whenever we were listening to music in the 80s, we were hearing some of these soundtracks, coming out like Dangerous Highway to the Danger Zone, stuff like that. I mean, those are classics now. That was the equivalent of like Elvis back then. The time, the distance in time.
Perry Como.
Yeah, Perry Como.
Lawrence Welk.
Good Lord.
Glenn Miller Trio. Yeah, I saw. We put the YouTube on a lot of times at home and let the music play. And Teresa, I'll just pick something, let it go, and she put classic rock. And Guns N' Roses came on. It was like November Rain. I'm like, that's classic rock now. Wow. Okay.
Yes, it totally is. That got me here in Baton Rouge. They have a great station, Eagle 98.1. I didn't listen to it for years. I listened to it when I was younger to hear the old music, the classic music, and then it started becoming like more recent, and now it is like, Nirvana's classic rock and stuff. Like, what? I don't understand, but it is. I mean, it is. It's just that's part of the time. But anyhow, let's jump back into these movies and start with the top 10. And coming in at number 10, thanks to ChatGPT and its list. I don't know if I put this movie in the top 10 list of action movies. I know I don't. I can just go ahead and say I will not. Great movie, great song from the movie. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome in 1985 with Mr. Mel Gibson. That was a great one.
It was a good one. No, it was a good one. I didn't.
That wouldn't be one I would initially have thought of. But let me tell you, thinking back, I know I watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, all of those several times back then. Dude, that was some high level stuff. You talking about Tina Turner in her heyday, Mel Gibson at the rocking. He was the young guy on the rocket ship on him. Those were big movies. And go back and watch a hair of them, man. It was intense, and the way they shot them. That's wild. That was I wouldn't have put it on there, but I can see it being on there 100%. That's hard. It's hardcore. It's hardcore. It's not your typical military. It's almost got the sci-fi. It blends genres a little bit there. The same thing. I'm thinking another couple of movies, and we'll go to our just general discussion later, and I'll mention some of those. But they're kind of the same thing. I almost know, do they fit this criteria? But it's action. It's a movie. So
yeah. Blasey, you have any thoughts on it? Was it a big movie for you?
Dude, it was a huge movie. It was crazy. It was like you said, it's intense. It's like to action movies, it was like what Slipknot is. You know what I mean? To music, right? You know what I mean? It was on another level.
Yeah, there was
nothing cartoony about it. There was full-blown adult. They was not trying to blur the lines that it wasn't adult.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's a film, though, if you go back and watch it today, that it still holds up to the test of time, the way it looks visually.
Yeah.
It still looks good.
It had to be a huge budget, too. Think about those scenes, those big, huge scenes with all that stuff going on and all those people and fighting and, blowing up. And did it in the desert, though. Cheap place to shoot.
But that is true.
I wanted one of those rides. Good. You know what I mean? One of the pimped out rides, to come cruising around in.
I mean, it was so, and you think how big it was too. It got a resurgence too, because Tupac, "California Love," they basically recreated that whole scene for the music video. So that
is true.
I mean, it's
cult. Exactly right. That's
cult
exactly
classic, all
right.
that good stuff. Who we got on number 9?
Coming in at number
Because that's a strong
9.
10. That's a strong
That's a
start.
strong 10. I mean, they're all 10 of these are very strong. There's not
I
any
bet.
weak ones in
Yeah,
here.
gotta be.
Number 9, I think 10 and 9 are both the weakest of the deal, which they should be. They're coming in at 10 and 9. Number 9, 1994's iconic nonstop tension thriller with Keanu Reeves, Speed.
Oh, Speed.
Great movie.
Speed.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, it was.
Intense.
And
too,
Sandra
buddy.
Bullock.
Yep. Just doesn't jump out there those first ones to me because again my brain just instantly goes to camouflage and that vein of action, but 100% action. It's a little one of the newer. It was a little more modern than some of the ones we're thinking about, but
Yeah.
that's Chat
I don't.
GPT for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it
It is, and it's all
did
in one
well in the
place,
box
right?
office.
Everything's on a bus,
Yes,
So,
and he can't
I mean,
slow down.
No,
Yeah.
it can't
Right,
slow down.
yeah.
You
And
can't
there's
get
no,
below
there's
like
not a lot of fight.
60
I
or
mean, there
something. I
is.
forget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just him barreling through Los Angeles on or San Diego on a bus that can't slow down.
That's all it is. I mean, that's literally
exactly what
all
it
it
is.
is. But I mean, it did well in the box office. Obviously,
Yeah, it
here's a
did.
Well
fun
enough for-
fact. A
Did
fun
well
fact
enough for
from that
enough
movie.
people to lie to Chat GPT that it needed to be on this list. Okay, who we got for 8?
Yeah. Now we get to number 8, and the man is back. He's already been in the top 10, and I think he's going to be in it again because he had one heck of an 80s for sure. But coming in at number 8, and I think this is a strong one to be there. It's a sweeping historical epic with breathtaking battle scenes. One of the visually most appealing movies that I've ever seen. I'm talking, of course, about 1995's Braveheart.
Braveheart, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Absolutely. Aren't they redoing Braveheart? Isn't there a new Braveheart coming out or something? I heard that. I think I
don't
heard
know.
that. I
don't
heard.
know.
I'm like, how do you redo that? How's that going to happen? I don't understand. Like, but supposedly they're redoing it. I think. I need to dig
that
into
would
that.
be
But
interesting. That would be
yeah, that's a
interesting
great
to
movie,
see.
though. That's an absolute great movie. I mean, that's how many times you probably seen that movie? I've seen it, I don't know, at least 15, 20, If it's ever on, I never turn it. It's one of those movies.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it from start to finish in one sitting more than like two, maybe 3 times. Just simply because but like if it's on, I know what's happening. I can pick up and continue on with it. I agree. It's just so, it's just that story is just so gripping. I mean, it starts off so strong and you're bought in the whole time. And, I mean, it's definitely I would say it's one of the best movies ever made, one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
It's definitely got to be up there. I mean, it was just like you said, visually, the whole thing, the period piece, the whole, the animals, the whole thing is wild. Yeah, it's
I'm
intense.
s- I'm scanning the list. I'm just looking to see years, seeing if that's the
Yeah, there's a
the
Braveheart 2
newest.
coming in 2025. Yes,
There
is.
is.
Oh wow,
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Just kind
There's
of
a
like
trailer up already for it. Yeah.
Wow. All right, kind of like Gladiator 2, which is depending on when you're seeing this, is out now or is just about to come out when we're recording this. And
Yep. Same
I mean,
thing.
look, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think it's probably something I'm going to see for sure. I'm going to see it like soon, and we'll probably talk about it on a show coming up. So that's it. That's great news. That's great stuff to know. Things you can only learn at Tigs Bits.
That's right. That's right.
Again, this one's in the 1995 movie. My mind just goes back farther than that. I was thinking more 80s, but it's in the period, so it works. So what's
It's
next?
in the period.
What's
It
next?
is in the
Blade 2?
period. Coming in at number 7 now. I think that we all will agree that this sucker's an action movie, and it's what we consider an action movie. I mean, it's the perfect blend of sci-fi and action. Arnold Schwarzenegger at his freaking peak.
Jesse
Talking
the
about
Body
Predator.
Ventura? Yeah, absolutely. Predator.
Yeah,
Gotta
Predator,
have that.
baby.
Gotta have
The
that,
body.
man.
Yeah. Carl Withers.
Carl
wasn't
Withers,
he? Yeah.
absolutely. When they Dutch, oh man, when they grab their arms together at the beginning and they're doing the flexing thing, easy. The CIA got you pushing too many pencils.
Oh my gosh.
Man,
Yep,
that
great movie. Yep.
I've watched that with Riley. That's kind of what I'm going down this list too, of like, what have we seen and we have not seen. He hasn't seen anything yet that we've talked about. He has seen Predator. He freaking loved it. I mean, how would you not?
Yeah.
I think he was 9 or 10 when he saw it too for the first time. Like, let's watch this. You know, it's action. This is a guy's movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Man, it's absolutely, and and Arnold was so good in that era. This is prior to him being the governor and the guvernator and all the things we know him as now. Back then, he was Arnold, the power lifter, bodybuilder, and just this really strong action actor, kind of like Sylvester Stallone. They had a reign there during that time period with the action movies being the strong guys, the fighting scene stuff, more so than the detective type things like Mel Gibson usually did. Not in Braveheart, obviously, but yeah. So what a great movie, Predator. Yeah, 7. You could probably move it up in my world, but I'm glad to see it on the list for sure.
Yeah, it has to make that list. It absolutely has to make the list. One thing I was always disappointed in, they had so many good video games, and unless I just flat out missed it, they never had a really good Predator video game. And it just seems like it would have been perfect, a perfect
I think they
premise.
had one for Sega, maybe, but I don't remember. It was like,
and they probably had a modern one.
That too. I'm not sure.
Once again, aging ourselves.
It wasn't that good. Yeah, it's like the whole story about E.T. Y'all ever heard that story? They made an E.T. movie or an E.T. Nintendo game that was so bad.
Oh yeah. Watch the documentary on it. Yeah, the worst game ever made.
Worst game ever made. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So maybe Predator was number 3 on that list. We'll have to do that list one day. Top 10 worst video games of all time.
I'd love that. Would be fun. That would be a lot
just
throw
Reese's Pieces at him or something. He caught him with his little, pixelated head.
It was awful. Watch that doc. It was good.
Yeah, I got to see
crazy.
That.
Yeah, and then they were trying to find the dump where they had put them and all that stuff. Yeah, trying to find some because they were hundreds of thousands of them. They just buried them. It's crazy.
So bad we can't even sell them.
Coming in at number 6, and as we kind of tease going to the commercial break, legendary characters, some unforgettable themes. This one certainly is up there for me in being involved in the top action movies of all time. I think it's rightly placed. I think it's exactly where it should be. But it has a couple of legendary actors in it, none other than Harrison Ford and Mr. Sean Connery in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade is what they have coming in. I could just take the whole franchise minus the last movie or two.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the last movie, to be honest with you, but Indiana Jones, when I was a kid, there was nothing bigger in 1989.
Oh yeah.
Than Indiana Jones.
Than
huge. Man, there's 3 or 4 right there in that run, that series of that movie franchise that were so good. And another, just visually, I mean, these scenes, these places, I mean, it takes you to another time and place, and you feel like you're there. Those are amazing movies.
It was really good. There's down in Disney. I hadn't been to Disney in years, but they had the Raiders of the. It was one of them. One of the Indiana Jones deals. Yeah, and dude, it was so cool with the ball rolling after the guy, and the guy barely escapes it. That was a cool little experience. That was one of the things that stood out to me. So, dude, that franchise was so great. Like you said, all those movies were so good. They just kept coming there. Those first 2 or 3 that were just phenomenal. So, oh yeah, I definitely agree with this being in there.
Yeah, it has to be. I saw that too at Disney. Unbelievable. Just the special effects that they do. The guy that jumps out just before the ball hits, crazy. Like, it's really neat to see what something like a sequence that they film like that in an action movie, what it's like in real life, which is basically what that is.
Yeah.
Cool fun fact, talking about video games. Indiana Jones has a video game coming out in like a week or 2 that is, I mean, it looks incredible, and it's kind of based off of the old Indy, the younger version in this era, maybe even before the late Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever. I'm pumped. There will be a Tigs Bits review on that game. I'm looking at it right now on my screen. It's pre-downloaded for whenever it comes out. It'll be downloaded. I can't wait to jump into that one. That's going to be
awesome.
fun.
That's
yeah,
cool.
And I don't know if they've ever had an Indiana Jones video game. I'm sure that they have, but none that I've ever heard of that just took off and looked as fun. This one looks fun. There's a game called Uncharted, which was basically like you were getting to play like Indiana Jones. And they've had Netflix shows and stuff like that based off of that video game. That's what it reminded me of. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be kind of like that, because it'll be a blast if so. Moving along, coming in at number 5, there is zero doubt that this is a top 5 movie. I mean, none whatsoever. It's taken a while. He has not made the list yet. You knew Sly would show up at some point in time. He may be there multiple more times. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. Rambo, First Blood, 1982. You were 3, I was 4.
Great movie. What a great movie, man. To me, that it was of the 80s action movies. That is it for me. Rambo, and then the whole Rambo, once again, that franchise. You know what I mean? When it comes in, you've got First Blood Part 1 and 2, whatever, and then you go into Rambo. Was it First Blood Part 1 and Part 2? Is that how it was done?
I think it was First Blood's in 1982, so I think it's First Blood Part 2.
Part 2, okay.
Yeah.
And so, but dude, what a great movie. I mean, that impacted all the way down to the Rattlesnake Rodeo when you walked around there and you had to buy your survival knife. You know what I mean?
Yes. Everybody had a Rambo knife. Everybody in
yes,
wanted a
that
Rambo
is right.
Knife.
That's exactly right.
With the compass on the top, and you can unscrew it and put your flint and your fishing string.
You had the little saw in there, the little thing. You had your fishing line in there. You had matches in there. Your whole survival kit. That was money.
Bought one every year at the Free State Festival. Old
Rambo
camo.
Knife. Rambo knife. Absolutely.
Rambo knife. That is crazy. That is exactly where that came from.
And then after 2, when he took down the helicopter, everybody wanted to shoot a bow and arrow with something exploding on the end of it.
That's right. That is right. I mean, man, talk about just influential movies. All of these are like the greatest boys movies of all time is what this should be called. And I mean, Rambo, you didn't want to be him. Then think about it. Just talk it back to about video games, because all this stuff's all happening at the same time. Contra. You think we would have never had Contra? I don't think Contra would have been as big of a video game as it was in the late 80s if it wasn't for Rambo and Predator and those types of games.
Contra wouldn't have been as big as it was without Commando, and I hope Commando makes this list, but we'll see. But another thing to think about on some of these movies, and Braveheart hit the same thing. It's on a period piece and a subject that's sensitive and important in the history of time. Rambo was about POWs and things like that in some of the wars Americans have fought in other places in the world. So another layer in there of that movie that expanded it more than just it was no sci-fi. That was some real life stuff. Told through theatrics. But anyway, Rambo, you kidding me? Great movie.
It has to be there. It has to be there.
Has to be.
Coming in at number 4, and the oldest or the youngest of these movies, I guess you could say this is the youngest of the movies, made in 1999. Frankly, I never really looked at this movie as an action movie, but it has been plastered all over everything that I've asked ChatGPT of list. And I guess in a way it is, because it had revolutionary special effects, a very thought-provoking story. It had a heck of a musical diss tracks, just, back then when we had CDs. That CD came out. I'm talking about The Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves has made this list twice now,
Wow. Yeah.
I love The Matrix. So I don't know if I put that at number 4. I don't even know if I put it on the list, honestly.
I wouldn't have, because of the time period, because like I said, I'm thinking, but I guess that is 1999, so it's in the scope.
It's barely in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It squeezes in. Yeah. When you compare that to Rambo in 82, and The Matrix in '99. That just seems so far apart. But it's '80s and '90s, so
yeah, but to
that's fair.
kids 20
20
years
years.
apart, you think about how many people do the whole Matrix dodging
Oh
the
yeah,
bullet thing. I mean, it's you know what I'm saying? And how
I
many
mean,
people use references to the Matrix on stuff
true.
still now.
oh yeah.
I
It
mean,
planted a
we've used
seed,
it on this
an
show a
idea,
lot.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the
Because
red
everybody does it,
pill.
well, and like that, a lot of things. And, you think about some of these movies like the Indiana Jones, and you wonder, that'd be an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Who did some of these things first? Who laid out that plot of need help from this person who doesn't want to help? They go try to help. They have to solve this puzzle after they've done this long journey and that most people wouldn't make. And then there's the redemption. I mean, what's the chronological order on how they were made? Who ripped who off? Kind of deal on some of this stuff. That'd be an interesting thing because a lot of them kind of repeat themselves and take parts of the plot of an action movie.
Yeah.
Matrix being a whole, probably if you look at some sci-fi action stuff through the years, and I'm sure they pull because it's all odes to their heroes and who they look up to as
Right.
directors or filmmakers, same as you would as an artist or an entertainer in any field, I suppose. But neat to look at it through that lens. But Matrix, yeah, big. I mean, as big a movie as there was, so
Oh
can't
yeah.
deny it on that. But wouldn't been on mine. It just gives me more room to tell you all the ones I wish was on the list later.
That's what. Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. I've got a couple too that I know were left off that I think should be in there. But moving along, coming in at number 3, Mel Gibson makes another appearance on this list. Not surprising, I do not believe. I've always looked at them as action comedies, but they're an action.
Yeah.
It's an action
Lethal
movie,
Weapon?
of course. Yeah, of course I'm talking
Lethal
about
Weapon?
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can have an 80s action movie list and not include it. What do you thought? What are your thoughts, JR?
Again, I lean towards the comedy aspect of it, but another good action movie.
A lot of
Um,
action. I mean,
I mean, he's jumping. Listen, he's having to get off a toilet before it blows him up. You know what I mean? Like, so things were happening in that movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In all those movies, there was a lot of action involved, but it was definitely a
And
comedy
I can tell you,
action.
yeah, and I can tell you too, all the ladies back then thought Mel Gibson was so cute, and they loved his action of him running around. And I can remember my dad even saying, "He runs, he can't even run right. He runs so goofy and this stuff." And dad being jealous of mom's affection for Mel Gibson while watching these movies in that
that's
era.
exactly right.
You know what I mean? So some of the popularity of the movie is some of the stars in there, which it is a great movie. I'm not knocking on that, but I also think it gets a couple of notches. Probably had a killer soundtrack too. Probably had, who knows, Glenn
Well,
Fry or somebody did a song
no, it
for.
did.
Which one was?
I have a fun fact, and I did not know this whatsoever, and I just read it, and it makes perfect sense. You're going to be like, "Holy cow!" The bluesy score in that fun fact, the bluesy score is by Eric Clapton and Michael Kamen.
Yeah, there you
Wow.
go. Had
That
Eric Clapton
explains
do the
it.
soundtrack. Yeah, there you go.
Clapton.
You got
Wow.
Clapton playing some stuff while Mel and his hairdo are running around with no shirt on. That gave it a couple
Unreal.
of extra. He got a couple of votes for that for sure. So
Oh
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
great,
awesome.
great movie. I mean, there's a lot more action packed action movies that we'll discuss in the free form later. But yeah, great movie, no doubt.
Yeah, I think every woman on earth loved
And
it,
it
and
spawned a franchise as well too. I mean, there were several of
it
those,
sure did. It sure
up to
did.
four
They
or
ended up
five at
having
least.
four, I
At
believe.
least, yeah.
Yeah, and they were all good. I enjoyed all 4 of them. I can't say the same for Indiana Jones. Honestly, I didn't even
You
see
didn't
the
love the
last
Crystal
one.
Skull? You didn't think Crystal Skull was the best?
Was that the one before the one that just came out? If
The
no, if
last one I
so,
watched.
I like. I didn't like the last 2. I can tell you that. Or I don't. I can't really tell you because I didn't see the
Raiders to
last
the
one.
Lost Ark when he got that
Yes,
cup, man.
I'm in
That's
that.
good stuff there,
Yeah.
buddy. That's good
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We have reached the pinnacle of this list, and 2 movies that I think it'll be better for me to go around and get a guess from both of y'all as to what you think it could possibly be before I tell y'all. Either one of them.
One's got to be Die Hard, right?
And one's got to be Commando.
One is Die Hard, and one is not Commando.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Big
Yeah.
Trouble in Little Chinatown.
We're gonna end up having to get some of
losing
these.
some credibility on this list here. Okay,
I
Die
don't
Hard.
know. I think these both are
Die Hard's on the
deserving.
list. Die Hard's on the list.
Arnold
Del-
has not been on here but one time.
Oh yeah. Yep.
what's
So we had what earlier? Predator.
Commando
We have
ain't in it.
Predator,
Now we got
But the Last Action
Terminator
Hero.
2.
Terminator.
No, not the Last Action Hero, but a good movie. A good movie, but no. Terminator 2,
Twins.
Twins. Yeah.
T2 Terminator. Yeah, there you
Him
go.
and Danny.
Total action movie. Yeah, T2, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't, my brain wasn't thinking. I can't get over the Commando thing because, I mean, you talking about an 80's action movie, Commando, man. Are you kidding me?
How is it not
And
in this list?
Die Hard, I don't know who Bruce Willis paid to make sure his movies get on every list there is. So is it going to be on this list or is it going to be on the Christmas movie?
When the Christmas and action.
If we're going to do it on this list, we're automatically omitting it from the Christmas list. I'm not going through this again in a month with you guys. Telling you,
It's been
TV
eliminated.
podcast world, y'all bear witness to this. I'm telling these turkeys right now on Thanksgiving that Die Hard is not going to be on our Christmas list. It's going to be on this list.
How far did Die Hard make it in our Christmas list
It was
last year?
underwater too. I'm sure it was way up there. I'm sure
it made it.
It was in the top 5, I think. I think if I remember correctly, it was definitely a top 5.
Yeah, it beat
Yeah,
out
y'all,
it beat out like A Christmas Story or something.
Yeah.
The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Something with Christmas in it. Imagine that. Anyway,
we did a little breakdown on Christmas movies last year. Is what we're talking about. You can go back on our YouTube channel, watch those if you want to watch. We did it NCAA tournament bracket style, and had them face each other, and it definitely created some situations where you're like, but I can't put Frosty up against Die Hard. I'm sorry, personally, I like Die Hard better than Frosty, even though I know in my heart of hearts Frosty's what should win. So, yeah, it just created a quandary, but it was fun. There is no quandary, in my opinion, though, that Terminator 2 is a top 2 action movie of all time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's in there. Yeah, I mean, you talk like again. It's in the '90s, so it's a little newer than some of these classics like Rambo, and visually, I mean, next level soundtrack, next level. I mean, you talking about huge rock ballads from was that Guns N' Roses and all that stuff. I mean, that was huge. Arnold, I mean, mega star at this point in his career. Great cast all around him, and then action packed, next level action we didn't even know existed. You know, with the because I believe T2's the one with the guy who could morph in and out and could could break apart. It was made of liquid basically, and I mean, how scary was that guy chasing?
He was tough.
I mean, that's the first visual. That's the first movie that I ever went, wow, visually. And it was really the first one where CGI was really, they were able to start using CGI. And I've watched documentaries on T2 and them like rendering those different things where I could do it on this computer in here right now in 2 minutes or less on some of these things, probably less, where it took 2 or 3 days for them to just do not even one sequence, like 10 frames of a sequence, that would like bullets.
But it worked. It looked so real. And in the scenes, it was in a modern day Los Angeles. And it looked like this could actually be happening, like a War of the Worlds type thing. You're like, oh, is this really happening? I mean, this looks like it's going down, and it just was really well done for sure.
So well done. So well done. You'd mentioned it. A fun fact is that Guns N' Roses, You Could Be Mine, and Brad Fiedel's score defined the film's futuristic intensity, which if you think about the musical score in that, of course, you had Guns N' Roses, and that was when they were at their height of Use Your Illusions 1 and 2, and
rock and roll was at its height of money-making and power.
Oh, man. Yes.
It's like a lot of all of that stuff was really just a perfect marriage of timing and everything. It all happened at once. The music was there. The rock and roll was there.
The had that space age rock and roll theme. I mean, that was perfect.
How did it was perfect. I'm curious about one thing though. I mean, How did Kenny Loggins movie not get in there? Danger Zone. How did Top Gun not make it? I'm kind of surprised.
I am so glad that
Let's get to the
have
freeform
mentioned
here.
that.
We got to get on all this.
We just wrapped up the top 10, and coming in at number 2 was Terminator 2, and coming in at number 1 was Die Hard.
Wait, I thought it was the opposite. So Die Hard ended up coming in number 1?
Yes, Die Hard is number 1. Yes, we never. I don't think we ever really made that clear on the last segment. I got y'all to guess. Yeah, Die Hard's number 1. I don't think we ever made that official announcement. Yeah, Die Hard came in at number 1. But as you mentioned before we went to break, Blasey, Top Gun, man, I don't know how the heck you leave Top Gun out. That's my number 1 movie of all time, action movie. I mean, it has everything. It's got action. It's got a love story. It's got more action. It's sad. I mean, what else do you want?
Dude, and those dang jet engines, dude. That's when I first got surround sound in my trailer in Troy. I'd gone to Radio Shack and got them big floor speakers, got the center speaker, and the 2 back speakers had that 5-point system. Dude, them jets would come over, and the whole trailer's just shaking.
That's how you tested it. That's how you had to test your sound system.
Over and over again. Yeah, absolutely you did. You had to put some Top Gun on.
You want to turn it on, and that carrier's sitting there, and you just barely hear. And then here it comes, and I mean that's how you test your THX system out.
That's it.
What will this do? And just go into Highway to the Danger Zone. Hell yeah!
Him on that motorcycle leaving Kelly McGillis's house.
It's just so. And look, talk about almost 40 years later, having a sequel to it that I thought was just as dang good. Almost
pretty good.
I mean,
pretty good.
They did a great job.
Pretty dang good.
Good job. Yeah, considering most of the time they don't. Well, I can tell you this: I learned a lot watching this list. One, I'm older and watched a lot of crappy movies compared to what the rest of the population in the world watched. But a few takeaways here. One, no Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. That's a little much for me.
Yeah,
I would have thought for sure, Bloodsport or Kickboxer or Death Warrant or No Retreat, No Surrender. Or Double Impact, or I mean, he had a bunch of big ones.
You're right. Yeah. He was huge, man. Yeah,
huge. And then another one, which is the most important thing I've learned: we don't need to worry about AI anymore. We can talk about this on one of our weird conspiracy theory podcasts later. But I know now, as long as we have Chuck Norris, we're good because he did not make this list, and I can tell you, he's going to find AI and take it down for the rest of the world. So don't sweat. Chuck Norris is on it. He's 90 and he's going to go triple roundhouse kick AI into submission. So no worry about the Terminator theory coming true because Chuck's on it because he didn't make this list. And I can't believe that. Delta Force missing in action. I mean, there's 70 movies Chuck Norris was in that had as much action as all this top 10 put together. But weren't as critically acclaimed or box office big. I'm sure it's more, like I said, VCR era.
Yeah.
A lot of big movies in there that we all watched.
Head down to pick a flick or rent a flick to grab that one,
Exactly. So I was a little surprised that some of those didn't make it. Other ones I had on here, and if you were talking about like comedy action, like I mentioned earlier, Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Yeah,
I mean that's right in there for me. The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy makes his nod as a guy. Another Sly movie that is action packed. If you want to talk about just action, you're not defining it as to shooting or blowing up or car racing or any of that. Is Over the Top, the arm wrestling movie. You talk about an action movie. Bull Harley. Let's turn that hat backwards. It's time to flip the switch. That could have made it. And then the big one for me was Commando not making it because it's like Predator with a different scenario. I mean, this is, without the alien, it's just huge action on the island down there fighting and blowing up. And I mean, there's no telling how many evil henchmen get just annihilated at the hands of one Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to save someone out of the goodness of his heart. So anyway, I hate that didn't make it. But yeah, I was surprised Chuck Norris movies didn't make it or Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And no Beverly Hills Cop.
Yep.
You know, if you're going to put Lethal Weapon in there, I think you can put Beverly Hills Cop.
It was close, yeah. It didn't have quite as much action. I love Beverly Hills Cop movies. Like, those movies were phenomenal. You know what I mean? But
a little darker.
Yeah.
A little darker element comedy to it. And also, you know, fun fact on that, you know, the chief of police, who was Eddie Murphy's chief of police in that movie, was actually the chief of police in Detroit during that time, and was a terrible criminal. And during that time, they were being movie stars as they were protecting drug lords and things throughout Detroit. So it's another rabbit hole y'all can go down.
Yeah, life impersonates art sometimes, and that would be a good case in point. As we're wrapping up, a couple that ChatGPT threw out as honorable mentions: RoboCop. We didn't get to RoboCop.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know if I'd put that up there in the top 10, but definitely an influential movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, because at the time, I mean, that was something. I mean, you're thinking about a robot, and it looked real, and it was a big deal, big enough for a RoboCop to make an appearance at Starrcade or something like that in WCW, and get locked in the cage or break the cage open to let Sting escape.
I forgot about that.
It was a terrible segment in the show, but it's one of the biggest fails ever there. But RoboCop as a movie itself, it was intense.
Yeah.
As a kid watching that, it was real.
It was. What about Mission Impossible? Mission Impossible from '96.
Mission Impossible should definitely be on this list.
If you're going to be '90s, over Speed.
Yes.
Mission Impossible, great franchise.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's phenomenal. Yep.
Well, look,
great list today, boys. I enjoyed today. This
great
was
list.
Good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great list, and obviously, few left out. And if y'all feel any different, y'all let us know. Give us a holler. Give us a call at 225-800-3058, 225-800-3058. Let us know. Should Top Gun be number one? Should Commando be number one? Did we leave anything out? Y'all let us know. Share your thoughts. Until next time, we'll see y'all.